Every day that I have on earth is a gift and a blessing, and I'm very grateful for that because, frankly, people are disappearing. Scientists are going missing. Now they're saying they're going to investigate this. The president himself is saying they're going to look into this and see if anything's going on. It's a little bit scary. I got to say, it's a little bit scary, but you guys knew that I might still show up even though it was last minute and I've had a really rough week. Like, that's kind of like every week, but somehow we keep on making it through all of this.
And turning now to a story we've been following as well, high-profile American scientist vanishing, turning up dead. Well, this morning, yet another decorated scientist and defense researcher dead in a plane crash in South Carolina last week. Just found out about this. Investigators say James Moffett was flying his small personal plane. They were refueling. He was with his wife and 2 sons when that plane crashed near the Union County Airport, about 35 minutes south of Spartanburg. The family was traveling to their home in Huntsville, Alabama, to Raleigh when they stopped there. Now, Moffett was an aerospace engineer. He spent a lot of time, his career Army test pilot. He also worked as a flight crew support specialist for NASA, where he took part in 14 Space Shuttle ISS construction missions. He is now adding to this growing list. This is a photograph now, a picture of all those that have either turned up dead or missing since 2022, actually. Now, the White House taking this matter very seriously. They've launched an investigation. They're trying to figure out if these are linked together. Right now, they have not tied all these together at all. Jan, back to you.
Lisa, you looked at me like you were watching a movie.
That's what this feels like. It feels like we're living out some sort of sci-fi novel here or movie. We're talking about some of the most advanced scientists tied to national security. So in a large population of people, of course, deaths occur. But when you're talking about this smaller pool of highly specialized individuals in a cluster in such a short period of time, it seems a little bit more unusual. I have to read some of this information from Amy Eskridge, who is one of the scientists who allegedly died of a reported self-inflicted gunshot wound. She was on a podcast in 2020, and she was saying that she was going to disclose she had discovered some anti-gravity propulsion information, and apparently that's widely discussed by UFO researchers who have claimed this advanced technology is what allows alien spacecraft to achieve impossible speeds. So she had discovered this. She was working on this anti-gravity, novel foundational work regarding anti-gravity. She was talking about how she was being targeted both psychologically and physically as well as a result of this. She was worried about her life. And then, so she hired a British intelligence officer to help her look into some of these threats against her. And then they allege that an unknown suspect fired a directed energy weapon at her, causing burns across her body using powerful microwaves. So when you read that, I mean, it sounds insane. But yes, that's why my face was like that when you had started this show off.
Lovely as always, but shocked.
Yeah, because even just taking into that, what she said on the podcast, it seems insane. But, I don't know. It's pretty crazy stuff. I hope we get to the bottom of it.
After yet another Huntsville family is killed in a plane crash.
According to South Carolina coroner, 4 members of the Moffett family were killed in that plane crash Friday afternoon.
The plane took off from Union County and crashed in a heavily wooded area not far from the runway. The cause of the wreck is still under investigation.
Shortly before 8 p.m., the Union County Coroner's Office confirmed all 4 passengers were dead. The pilot, James Moffett, spent more than 2 decades in the Army before establishing his own defense research and aerospace consulting firm. His wife, Lisa Moffett, was a first and second grade learning coach at a local school. The couple's eldest son, Andrew Moffett, worked as a research engineer and scientist, while their youngest son, William Moffett, worked in information technology and cloud security. Fox 54's Logan Alexandra Russell tells us more about the family.
In a city built on rocket science and the military, the Moffett family embodied the very best of the Rocket City. James Tony Moffett was a decorated Army lieutenant colonel and
this would freeze, right? It would freeze, right, people? It would freeze, right? On my phone, it would freeze, right? Ain't that some shit? Huh? These scientists dying. David Wilcox. Remember David Wilcox? He stated that black people, they don't want black people to know they have extraterrestrial DNA. I mean,
test pilot
this is
who helped
crazy.
support 14 NASA Space Shuttle missions over 2 decades before founding Moffett Systems, Inc., a defense and aerospace consulting firm, while also serving as a principal research engineer at UAH until 2024.
It has now gone to the new chapter. The U.S. House Oversight Committee will now investigate the mysterious deaths and disappearances of now 11 scientists. They'd all been working on high-level space or nuclear power research, and they have either died or mysteriously vanished since 2022, some with some strange similarities, like leaving their homes without phones or wallets.
It does appear that there's a high possibility that something sinister is taking place here. We've asked all those agencies, the Department of Energy, NASA, the Department of War, to all share information with us so that we can see if we can put it together and find any missing links to try to solve what's going on here, because it's very unlikely that this is a coincidence.
Wow, former FBI special agent and Fox News contributor Nicole Parker joins me now. Nicole, that is quite a powerful statement from the Oversight Committee chair. He can't just say things willy-nilly, loosey-goosey. When he says something, it has an import, it has a power. So the fact that he said that tells you something. Do you think something sinister is going on? And if so, what?
You know, Todd, it's an excellent question. I think at this point it's just too soon to know. I myself find it very fascinating, as tragic as it is from the investigative perspective. It's fascinating to break down these 11 individuals, and that's exactly what I've done. I've done a substantial amount of research to see commonalities, things that were different. But I think, you know, looking at it, overarching thoughts is that there are 11 individuals. 5 of them went missing. 6 of them were dead. Of those 6, 2 of them were murdered. And I think it's important to note, for example, one of them was the individual, if you remember, the MIT plasma fusion research individual. He was found, he was killed in his home in Massachusetts after the Brown University shooting. It was just a few days after. So it was the same individual that conducted the Brown University shootings and then later went on to kill this MIT plasma research individual. And so again, to think that that individual was linked necessarily to any of these other cases, I would say probably not. That's probably not related. Another individual that was murdered was an individual who was sitting on his porch in rural California and was shot on his porch at 6 a.m. Do I think that that's necessarily linked? I don't know that all of them are linked together, but I think what's important is to see that they may be individually linked to potential foreign intelligence services, espionage, things of that sort. But of the missing individuals, I think it's odd. None of them had their cell phones.
Exactly.
Who leaves their home in this day and age without a cell phone? 2 of them had guns on themselves. I think one of them, her cell phone actually was found and it was factory wiped. It was completely wiped clean. That's a very odd thing to see as an investigator. One of the individuals that I think is most alarming is she went hiking with her friends in the Angeles National Park and she suddenly vanished and disappeared. She was with 2 other individuals and they literally said she just disappeared. There was no sign or trace of her, no sign of a struggle. They did a substantial search for her. She just literally is gone. I think also the 34-year-old, that's a very young age. Her name was Amy Eskridge, and she herself, back in 2020, was on a YouTube interview and expressed concern for her life. And she said that she was concerned that, she could be taken out. And so she had done research on anti-gravity. There's commonality in all of these individuals. They all had, very substantial research experience, either with nuclear weapons, aerospace, defense systems, advanced physics, and these are things that other countries, they don't want to see us succeed at.
Nicole.
Were they trying to silence them to take them out? And that's what's important to know. We've got to get to the bottom of this and do a full investigation. The FBI, the Department of Energy, the Department of War, they are working together and they will do a full investigation and look at every single case. What is the age of the individual, the mental and health status of the individuals, and things of that sort? What were the relationships that they had? They will do full interviews. They will work with the local law enforcement because they have separate investigations for each of them. And so they'll take all of those cases, they'll put them together, and they'll start linking together patterns.
And I would just add one thing. NASA says it is now investigating because at least 4 of the individuals that you see on your screen were connected to NASA. And I would just add that in that group of agencies that you listed, all of this is connected.
Anna Paulina Luna's again telling us to look at she's a congressional representative, look at the Book of Enoch. It has a solar flash in there. I showed you guys that before. I mean, it is just such a wild time to be alive.
And if you think all of this shit is just a coincidence dealing with aerospace, aerodynamics, if you think all of this shit is just a coincidence at this time, are you French toast kidding me? Not to mention David Wilcox literally stated in a conference that he had filled with nothing but complex cells. They don't want black people to know that they have extraterrestrial genes, that their genes are connected to an advanced civilization, maybe the most advanced civilization in the solar system. This is what he said out of his own mouth. So, like, listen, you call it what you want. So he said this many a times. And now, how does someone go hiking with you, right? And maybe no more than 10 to 12 feet behind you and just disappear? How do you leave your house without your cell phone? Are you kidding me? That doesn't, even if you was to walk to the corner store, how many of us would leave our house without our cell phones just to walk to the corner store? Stop it, people. This is all coming, and I want the complex cell, aka white people, Asian race, air race, to let you know, and they know this already. I'm ready to say it again. You are fair game. These are your creators that are doing this to you, because you have a responsibility, and your responsibility is to go with the status quo. You are not supposed to develop any type of common sense, any type of passion for truth and righteousness. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to follow status quo. If you don't, you will be dealt with. And these people knew the information that they were coming across and them being watched. They know this. They know what they were studying and researching. Call it what you want, my people. Keep on thinking that we just on this planet alone by ourselves. There is a universal effort to keep the truth away from the so-called organic species of this fucking planet. I can tell you that right now. And guess what? I don't give a French toast how many they kill. I don't give a French toast how many of you all they put in fear, because all of you are in fear now. Even your little local small little YouTube channels and shit, your Mr. MB33s and Gina, all of you are all in fear. You in fear because of what's coming, and you in fear for the people that is already here, that is watching you on your lives, watching what you post, to see if they need to take you the French toast out of here. You are fair game to this creation, to this creator, to your creator. And you stuck between a rock and a hard spot. The people that are connected directly to the sun, that can harness the energy of the sun and convert it into chemical energy, them people are highly advanced. And they're here. But also, I was created by something that does not show any ounce of leniency when it comes to the truth about organic species. See, you stuck in a rock and a hard spot, but you got to choose. You got to choose. No matter what you think the end result is going to be, you need to choose. If I was you, I would choose wisely and righteously. Abundance and gratitude to all.